hello, and welcome back to all of my friends and my fans, and yes, you, each and every one of my fellow FTFLers, to the longest running weekly episodic fantasy football show out there. That's right, boys and girls, it is time once again for the FTFL weekly update, and of course, I am not only the host of this award-winning program. Not only am I the owner and two-time league champ Hulkamaniacs, I am also that constant and steady reminder that you, yes, you are going to make it. Whatever it is you're up against, you're going to come through. Whatever that challenge might be, you are going to conquer it. Now, of course, unless it's playing me in fantasy football, but that is for another time and place. It is I, Brett Sieber. Welcome back to the show. Week 7 is in the books. Last time I checked, we play 14 regular season games, so we are now halfway through the regular season. What do we know? What have we found out? And what lies ahead? Again, it has been a rather interesting season to date. Lots of ups, lots and downs. Not a lot of trades so far. Pretty quiet on the trade front. However, as we prepare for the second half of the season, we have now come to Byemageddon. That's right, Byemageddon. The Cardinals, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Raiders, the Rams, and the Seahawks all on bye this week. I don't know if you remember back at the draft, I mentioned all the byes I had on week 8 and said, good God, whoever I play that week is going to have themselves a game. And then there's Matt, in between his fireball breaks, kind of makes the same mention. Boy, week 8 is going to be a real show for him. I wonder who I play. And then I think I said, wouldn't it be funny if we play each other? And sure enough, we do. Now, throw in all of the injuries across the league, and Byemageddon has fantasy football owners across the country scrambling to fill roster spots. We will get through. We will make it. I promise you, there is hope on the other side. Speaking of the other side, the Peter meter. Last we checked, Peter had jumped head first into that dumpster, and I kind of feel like his journey isn't done yet. I had some rumblings of some fan mail this week, but I will actually talk a little bit about the trade market in the league. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, Andy, the champ, came out in week 1, lost to Peter. All he has done since is win each and every game. The champ is streaking 6 in a row. Into the games we go. The Mixing Cocktails coming in at 5-1, taking on Team Dickweed, John's team, if you will, at 3-3. And again, I mentioned it, Andy is on a roll. 108 to John's 80.5. If you're Andy, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys have one of the hottest offenses in all of football. CeeDee Lamb is back. Javonte Williams is running around like a maniac. George Pickens, pretty good player himself. 26 points for Dak, 24 points for Jamar Chase. A Cincinnati offense that seemingly has found its way under old man Flacco of all people. Devontae Adams, not 1, not 2, but 3 short yardage touchdowns last week, 22.5 for him. It is his highest week since week 13 of 24. He is averaging about 13 points a week. So he is having himself, even with Puka Nacua. Now, of course, Nacua didn't play this past week. Hopefully he'll be back next week. Adams, a viable second receiver. Josh Jacobs, 14.5. George Kittle, welcome back. 0 points. What is this? NFO 30. Oh, Bo Nix. Ha. Yeah. You want to know why Bo Nix isn't on my team? Because of Kyler Stupid Face Jr. Murray. And maybe my impatience. 34 points. What a pickup for Andy. Doesn't need him. He's there. I could use him because my quarterback play has been less than stellar to say. If you are John, Jackson Dart at 36 in an amazing game, yet epic meltdown. 12 points for Tyler Warren. Nico Collins, 2 points. He now has a concussion. He was John's first pick, second overall, I believe, and he has been fairly underwhelming as the season has rolled along. Will Reichard, 18 points on John's bench. When does John when does John ever not play Will Reichard? Somewhere there's a coalition of Vikings fans grabbing their torches and pitchforks and headed off to Park Rapids. And hey, by the way, why don't you pick up Bart and Bort on the way, because they are looking for John too. John falls to 3-4. Andy rolls to 6-1. Next up, Make America Great Again, coming in at 4-2, taking on My Hotspot, giving My Hotspot all it could handle, really working My Hotspot over this week. 111 for Sid, 70.5 for Jeff. If you're Sid, a pair of 26-point performances. Judkins and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown missing this week. Boy, oh boy, that has been up and down with him. Patriots defense 19. Tucker, best tight end in all of football craft. 10.5 points for him. David Montgomery, 3 points. He's been averaging 8.8 points. He averaged 11.4 in 24 and 11.5 in 23. His average is down. His usage is down. Why? Because Jahmyr Gibbs is a full-on stud, yo. Nonetheless, Montgomery will get his touch, especially as we get into November and December. He will be a viable option. If you are Jeff, CeeDee Lamb, 18.5 points. Rasheed Rice, welcome back, 17.5. Jake Ferguson, 15.5. And then this, Jeff started for his quarterback in a league of options, Justin Fields. And Justin Fields rewarded Jeff's faith in him with a big fat 0. That was something. Rico Dowdle, 23-plus points the last 2 weeks in a row, only 6.5 this week. Ashton Genty, 2.5 points. He had 33 in week 5. The other 5 weeks combined, he has 38.5 points. Ashton Genty and the Raiders, and maybe it's not Ashton Genty, but the Raiders are terrible. And them being terrible is not going to help Ashton Genty, and Ashton Genty is therefore not going to be able to help Jeff. Jeff is 3-4. Lamar Jackson might be coming back this week. If he is that going to be enough to push Jeff back in a positive direction? Time will tell. Last game here before the break. I may suck at fantasy football, 3-3, taking on the Radioactive Monkeys at 2-4. The Monkeys were at once upon a time 1-4. After this week, 3-4. That trade with the other Adam has netted 2 victories in a row. 93 for Adam, 68 for Matt. If you're Adam, 32 points for Jalen Hurts, 27.5 for Jonathan Taylor. I've been saying it all along. With those 2 players, you should be able to just mishmash it all together and make it work. And maybe that's finally what's happening. Houston, I think it says Houston, but I can't say. He's 16 points. I don't even know who the hell scored 16 points for Saltmarsh. He did have 5 players at 4.5 points or under. 93 points. Enough for the win this week. If you're Matt, Jackson Smith-Njigba continues to be great, 18. Jalen Warren and the Kansas City defense both with the smooth dozen. Breece Hall, 3 points. Kyron Williams, 5 points. Kyron Absridge is 11. Matt is either boom or bust. He's scoring a ton of points or he's down somewhere in the 60s. He falls to 3-4. Salty rises to 3-4. And speaking of rising, everyone now prepare as Peter's meter takes the stage. Fireball. All right, so I have now whipped Peter's meter back out, and as you can tell, Peter is nowhere to be seen. Of course, we all know he's dancing around. He's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to switch sides here. Actually, oh, God, you got to look at Peter there. So here we are, Peter's meter, and it's Peter. He's like, da-da-da, da-da-da, look at me, I'm over here. Oh, wait a minute, I'm over this way. And then Peter eventually finds his way into the slot. Now, of course, if you're Peter, the way things started already had you moving in this direction. That fireball, he's like, oh, it's bright, but it's super duper far away. He was never really ever that close, and he kind of danced this way. He shuffled a little back, and then he kind of went up, and I said we had to kind of take it out and come at a different angle, and we were here last week. At this point, I feel like Peter has tunneled his way into the underworld and has left the meter. Where is Peter? Maybe there's more to Peter's meter than meets the eye. Tune in next week as we see where Peter's travels take him along his meter. Fireball. All right, I did say there was going to be some fan mail. None of that this week, maybe next week. However, an interesting thing was brought to my attention. Now, of course, this season, Bart and Bort are working their way trying to find John Linkowitz. Haven't heard from them in a couple weeks. Hopefully, some report soon on that situation. In the meanwhile, I have heard that multiple teams have reached out to Team Dickweed with a trade offer. Now remember, Team Dickweed is John's team. Linkowitz is not John's team. That's Adam's team. But Team Dickweed is John's team. Multiple trade offers have been sent to Dickweed. None have even been declined. They get left unopened. They get left unattended. And so therefore they expire. Now, if John was still alive, reason to believe he would be answering some of these trade requests. Now, someone, somewhere, is entering a lineup every week for John's team, but clearly they don't have access to the tab that talks about managing your roster and looking at trades that have been offered to you from other teams. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The owner of John's team, people are trying to reach out to you. Please respond to them. Be a good team owner, a league mate. That would be much appreciated. All right. Here we go. Speaking of Linkowitz, by the way, coming in the next game, the Hulkamaniacs at 3-3, taking on Team Linkowitz at 2-4, and the Hulkamaniacs are back above 500, baby. Woo! 112 for me, 92.5 for Adam Swart. If you're me, Monday Night Explosion by Jahmyr Gibbs. Good God Almighty. Woo! There goes that man again. 31.5 for him. Trey McBride, 21 points. Back-to-back best weeks of the season. And who wasn't playing for the Cardinals? I'll give you 3 guesses, but I don't even think you need one. Yeah, you know who it is. It's that jerk on the list, that team wrecker, town wrecker, life destroyer, Kyler Stupid Face Jr. Murray. If he comes back this week and Trey McBride stinks again, next week, scorched earth. Bijan Robinson, a decent 15 points. ETN, 2.5 points, 5.3 yards per carry. 5.3 yards per carry. And all he has is 2.5 fantasy points? Something here isn't adding up, Jacksonville. This dude is running well with the ball. Give him the ball. Quit worrying about Bashal Tootin, for Christ's sake. No one gives 2 rat turds about Bashal Tootin. Travis Etienne is all-world speed, 5.3 yards a carry. Feed that man. Jordan Love, I mentioned earlier, my quarterback play, 8 points. Rodgers, 32 points on the bench. I'm thinking that very soon there will be a world where I'm competing in the FTFL playoffs with Aaron Rodgers as my starting quarterback once again. And we all remember what happened the last time that took place. If you are Adam Swart, 22 for Mahomes, 14.5 for DeAndre Swift. Philly's defense at 12. Brian Thomas Jr., he is averaging 6.2 points a game this year. Last year, he was averaging almost twice that, 11.1. He is all sorts out of sync. Not the only reason Adam Swart falls to 2-5, but he definitely is in helping matters. I rise to 4-3. All right, last game of the week, the Pack Attack at 3-3, coming in, taking on the Valhalla Vandals at 2-4. Now, of course, lots of intrigue in this matchup. Eric was the one that told Peter, you can't have your keepers. And then Eric was the one that took not one, but both of Peter's keepers in the draft. Early in this matchup, Peter had the upper hand. And for a while, I thought, holy crap, Peter is going to beat Eric. And then he didn't. 90 for Eric, 81.5 for Peter. If you're Eric, Eric's keepers, 40.5 points. 40.5 points combined. 27.5 for Run CMC, 13 points for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Squished in the middle is Dallas. Or Brandon, my leg can kick the ball farther than yours. Aubrey, 18. Javonte Williams, 12.5. Josh Allen, no. 7, some dude, 17.5 points on the bench. My writing is terrible sometimes, I'll be real honest. Voice is pretty shot, trying to get the water. Lots of talking lately. Bear with me. If you are Peter, Justin Herbert, 28. Chris Olave, 20.5. 4 players of 4.5 for lower. Jameson Williams, 0 points. He has had 30 points in 2 weeks combined. and 8.5 in the other 5 weeks. He is the epitome of boom or bust. He went boom this week, went bust this week. Boom might have got him a win against Eric and a little bit of retribution for how the season started. All right, stud the dud, and we're going to get out of here. Studs of the week, running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, 31.5. Quentin Judkins, 26. Run CMC, 27.5. All sorts of points for running backs. Dud of the week, the Jets and the Raiders. Good God. The Jets, 0-7. The Raiders are just awful. Awful. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Players that you can't at this point trust to start in a fantasy game. That's 2 whole teams. Just forget. Send them off to the side. Not right now. All right, here we go as we start the second half of the season. Week 8 is in front of us. The Mixin Cocktails coming in at 6-1, taking on the Pack Attack at 4-3. The battle of the last 2 champions, although actually maybe Swart was the champion in between there, if we're counting that kind of stuff. Make Cray America Great Again, coming in at 5-2, taking on Team Dickweed at 3-4. Hulkamaniacs at 4-3, taking on I May Suck at Fantasy Football, but at least I got my keepers in at 3-4. My hotspot, readies for more action again, taking on the Valhalla Vandals in the Brother-in-Law Bowl, and the Radioactive Monkeys at 3-4, taking on Team Linkowitz at 2-5. Halloween is next week. November soon thereafter. Crunch time is upon us. The holidays are coming. The cold season has returned. Hallelujah! And I will return next week for another episode of the FTFL Weekly Update. But until then, peace! Hey, Brett, your friend Bart. Me and Bart are on our way to Egan.
I gotta pull over.
We got a hot
I
tip. I think we got your boy. We'll call you back.
We're gonna
we
get
got
that
more
guy.
news.
It's gonna be great.
See you later.